after 30 years of robotic MK Ultra mind control being imposed on various DARPA, NASA, and military installations. I didn't even know good people existed in the world anymore. I didn't have a capacity to understand that. But just like when my father's sexual abuse of me began in infancy, before I could think to know what he was doing was wrong, my brain knew it was wrong. My brain knew I was enduring pain and suffocation. So it shut down neuron pathways in the brain, repressed that memory deep into the subconscious so the rest of the mind could develop and function normally. That's the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend. It was incomprehensible, especially to an infant. But we have that defense mechanisms. Our brains have been made perfect. Our brains have also been made so perfect that when we are safe, the brain also knows it. And that is when the neuron pathways can start opening back up and that repressed memory coming forward where it can be dealt with logically and so that healing can happen. So when Mark rescued me, I didn't have a clue that goodness existed, and yet my brain knew, and the neuron pathways started opening, and I still didn't really know to trust Mark, except for the fact that when he rescued my daughter Kelly and me right out of our victimization, he also rescued our cows and horses and guineas and chickens and dogs and cats, because Mark knew that people who abuse children abuse animals and vice versa. It's like no regard for life at all. So he knew that rescuing our animals was as important. Well, I was since I had lost my free thought and been tortured so much, I'd been blasted into primitive parts of my brain, where I have heightened senses, heightened intuition, heightened capacity for sensing vibrational frequency, telepathy, all those kind of psychic intuitions and capabilities that we're all capable of. We don't have to experience trauma to access it. We just need to remember it's there, which is what so much of a line with the divine is all about, is reminding us of this amazing capacity that we have. Well, I was so telepathic. I had my horse that would come up to me, and anytime this back under mind control, if I needed to get across the farm, she'd just walk up to me and stand in front of me. I'd jump on, no bridle, no saddle, no words, nothing. We would go do whatever, and that's how we interacted all that time. If my handler came around, my MK Ultra handler, who was very torturous and abusive to the animals, she would run from him as fast as she possibly could. When Mark came in to rescue us, my horse walked up to him, took one look at him, and loaded herself on the trailer. And that
It's
just told
incredible.
me everything I needed to know about trust. And I learned to trust because of that capacity, that connection that I had with my horse, and the fact that Mark was so wise. He knew to rescue the animals, and they really showed me the way to trust. So I listened to what he had to say from that point going forward on how to heal from the trauma and open the neuron pathways in my brain.
That's incredible. And for anyone who knows horses knows how incredible that reaction is, and how telling it is. Cathy, your newest book, Align with the Divine. Let's talk about that. What inspired you to write it? What's it about? What do you want to tell people with it?
Well, the methods that Mark taught me for healing were to write out memory, because now that the memory was leaking out and it was like intruding on my present, and I started remembering the things I'd been tortured to forget, he told me to write it out. He said, because the very act of moving a pen activates the logic, critical analysis part of the brain. So it takes that emotionally incomprehensible repressed trauma, shifts it over to the logic part of the brain where it's written out on paper, consciously seen, and all of a sudden healing happens psychiatrically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, everything all at once. from that one simple little brain trick. It's such an important brain trick that if we got writing by hand back in the school system, we could stop the indoctrination of children. If people everywhere picked up a pen and paper and started writing, they would be able to write out their fear, their trauma, their grief, their guilt, whatever it is that's immobilizing them. And then add a solution. Because Mark told me too, voice no negatives without a solution. Not only did that keep me from just complaining about my past, but it forced me to think in new ways. After only following orders for 30 years, I had to learn to think for myself, to expand my thinking. And to think in terms of a solution opens more neuron pathways in the brain. So everyone everywhere can start to open those neuron pathways to overcome whatever they've had to deal with in life, to expand their thinking beyond controlled media's repetitive narrative, to lift themselves out of a pit of negativity that is imposed on us every day through social media even. To be able to lift beyond that is one thing. So this information I've been speaking out on for 35 years has helped many survivors to heal. And yet so many of them would look at me and say, well, how can you smile after what you've been through? And it's because I know the truth. I know the victory. I know the magnitude of the resiliency of our body, mind, and spirit. I align with the divine within, and I stay aligned there. And it's such a pleasure to live in synchronicity with the miracles that unfold every day, to live in that divine flow where everything unfolds bigger and better than anything we could possibly imagine. Knowing that aspect has given me a joy in living, and makes me want to share the information on healing so everyone else can reclaim that joy, that birthright to live their life's purpose, just like I have. And so that's why I wrote Align with the Divine. It's a series of little short stories that remind people of these amazing aspects of our brain, that remind us all that these are ours to use at will. So many survivors, because they were blasted into the other parts of their brain, were studied by the CIA and used adversely for their intuitions, for their remote viewing, for their capacities that they have. So they just naturally dismissed it in their healing process as something evil, something bad, when in fact the brain function itself isn't bad. Just because bad people used it doesn't make it bad. Bad people invade and use parts of the brain that can heal the body and control things like heartbeat and breathing. They can use that. Imagine what we can do from within ourselves using the strength of the human spirit, our free will, and the infinite power of love. And all of a sudden, we can use these abilities to our advantage. Just because they were used wrong doesn't make them bad. And that's
Your environment shapes everything, your thoughts, your health, your energy. But most people never question the invisible field they live in. We did, and that's when FLFE found us. It's not a product, it's a field of pure life force energy that lifts everything it touches. We now live in it 24/7, and we would love to invite you to experience it too. Start your free 15-day trial now. No pressure, no strings attached. Just the truth, resonance, and peace.